Welcome for the Dunga Boardwalk. We just completed our video. If you haven't watched, please do check and do subscribe to get notified on the next videos coming up. We've taken already a tour on the Dunga beach, and today we want to take a tour of the Dunga Boardwalk. We're just getting to walk, see what is this thing that is called the catchment area. There's a daily fee for local tourists and students to walk on this boardwalk, which is elevated above a wetland swamp and surrounded by papyrus reeds. You can also take a seat in an open cafe down here as you enjoy the view of Africa's biggest freshwater body, Lake Victoria. In this video, again, we're going to also talk to the Dunga Ecotourism and Environmental Group, a group which offers boat rides and trips around the lake to visitors, reaching up to Ndere Island and Homa Bay. And today they are going to help us get a boardwalk around here to get to see the wetland.
By the way, from 2019 to 2021, the level of Lake Victoria water has risen by 5 meters above the sea level. So you can imagine. Those who are living along the shores, actually, they were affected by that flooding because it was like a flood. The houses were damaged, the sewages, people also walihamahama. They went to the upper highlands. So welcome. Amjambo, Wodala. Very well. This is now a typical boat for fishing. This we call a umwangi. It's for catching omena, anything. Actually, yeah, we work as a group, so it was like a donation to our youth group, which we call Dunga Ecotourism and the Environmental Group. We normally deal with the preservation of the environment and the wetland. Now that our environment, we focus basically to the wetland. We protect the wild animals like the sitatungas, the hippos, and we also have the crocodiles inside. In this wetland there is, and the pythons. So welcome. This is our reception, the office. She's our secretary. She's called Shani. The charge list here we have for the school students, the local tourists, the international tourists, for those people who want to have a conference or maybe a meeting, a wedding, photographers. So for instance here, for the primary school students, for them we charge 20 bob each. For the secondary school students we charge 30 bob, and the universities and the colleges students we charge 50 bob. Those for the students, the scholars. So the non-scholars that we call the adults, for the adults we charge 100 bob, and the children we charge 50 shillings. And for the international tourism sector, we charge for the residents, those who are living in Kenya now, those who are now below 18, we charge 200 bob. Those are the kids, and the adults we charge 300 bob each. And the non-residential ones we charge 300, and for the children and for the adults is 500. For those who maybe want to hire the old facilities now for the purposes of the conference, or maybe for the photo shooting or the wedding, we charge 2,500. That's an half a day, and maybe for the full day is 5,000. And for the photo shoots and the commercial coverage, we normally charge 15,000. To our museum now, the conference hall. It has assisted us to penetrate at least the wetland. We wanted to see what's in there. And the county government promised us that sooner or later, they'll extend it for us, maybe to 100 meters ikienda mpaka huko chini.
Along the small museum on site, the boardwalk has become a perfect tourism site for local and foreign visitors. Local visitors, most of them students from different parts of the country, come over the weekends during the day to learn from this small museum over here, which displays traditional wares and crafts such as musical instruments, various functional artifacts, ornaments, costumes, all made by the local residents.
Yeah. So here we have a hut made of grass. For these, the fishermen, our forefathers, they used to have these huts to go there and fish to shelter them from the from the scorching sun. So, and here we have this is like a dish made of clay soil. So for eating, for serving fish, this is like a touch. For carrying, made of, by the way, it's made of water hyacinth. For carrying, the women will use it to carry the pots there before, for carrying waters from the lake, you know. And here we have the basket one, the deru, that's the local name here. It has been made of special sticks, and we have inner lining has been smoothened with the cow dung, at least to allow it to carry those material that maybe to prevent it from sieving. Yeah. It's also being used for removing chaff from the grains, like yeah. And also here we have also a basket one for carrying the harvest from the farm. Basically, and also for carrying fish. On our side, it's so funny that we are not doing farming, as we are only dealing with the fish. So the women will use it for carrying fish. The Luo names too. This is a Tonga, yeah, and this is Osera, Osade. These are one of the fishing techniques that were being used by our forefathers. Like it's being submerged in the water after submission, depending with the direction where the fish targetly will come from. So the fish will just come and enter with the mouth. So after it has entered, it cannot come back, because if it tries to come back, it will be blocked. So it's also a fishing technique. We call it osade. The pictures, the pictorials that we have around here, these are the typical pictures of the wetland. It's typical pictures of the birds that we have around. The picture of how the wetland it was being constructed here. I don't know if you are getting them. Like, you'll see how the construction was going on. Even this one here, the construction of all the boardwalk. Yeah, we also have information about the threats that we are facing around. We have the HIV problem. We call them fish for sex. So normally, we normally have some conferences here to teach our young school-going children about what's going on in the community, to prevent the early pregnancies and all that, to at least to maintain the spread of HIV. That is a big menace around the lake, probably like Victoria. So the first picture here, you'll have an approaching boat. The boat is basically a windsail canoe. And here we have a pictorial of what's going on in the community. We'll see the women selling the fish. And this is a net for catching omena. We'll meet them there in the village. This is now the fishermen there, and this is we call Langang Beach. We'll even go there. This is the picture with the women's side. They're now, it was taken when the jikos for frying fish were being made, and this is now the Nile patch there at the Banda. And this is our pier before those shops were built. The picture was taken a little bit earlier. And this is our materials made of soapstones. And also, here we have those history about what's going on in the Dunga beach, as I told you earlier, about the HIV AIDS. And on this shelf here, we have other materials. Like we have a rope made of papyrus reed, water hyacinth. And this is also a gulu, as a cooking pot. We call it a gulu, the Luo name. And here we have a guata for drinking uji. This was the ancient cups that we were using there before we started using these synthetic materials. And there are different ones. And over here we have a cooking stick for cooking ugali to be eaten with the fish. This is a bone of a sitatunga. We also have sitatungas here. We have the antelopes. There are so many. This is just a cow horn. And this is an hippo bone. Yeah, an hippo bone where you have the fibula and the tibule. And this now, how do you call them? These are the seeds for the moringa seeds. These are moringa seeds. And these are the teeth of a hippo, hippo teeth. Sure? And this here we have the horn. This is now Dunga of the horn. And here we have ogongolo, the nails, ogongolo. A music instrument. And this is a wooden carved crocodile. Nowadays, by the way, I don't know, but there are so many here in the wetland. The crocodiles, they have really given birth in the wetland. So we normally spot 1 to 3 of them around. And this is a wooden carved of a cheetah. And here we have a comb. Yeah? These were being used by the wazee when they were having their kuesu. They'll normally put a pot and some straws. We call it bosa. So it was a really important seat there before. And here we have a shield. This now oyeke, music instruments. When we have maybe the celebration, they were being used. This drum.
It's hard to imagine that just a few years ago, Dunga Beach, which is one of the most popular fish landing sites here in Kisumu, used to be surrounded by hyacinth and pollution that spilled into Lake Victoria. A few years ago, the Dunga Ecotourism and Environmental Youth Group, with financial support from the French Embassy in Kenya, came up with the idea to turn the marshland here, which extend into the Winam Gulf of Lake Victoria, into a tourist site.
Welcome to the watchtower. Welcome. This place we call actually watchtower. From here you will be able to see the wetland. The wetland basically it is on a land. It's just a piece of land almost covered with the water. The water level depending, it's just a wetland. Maji itakuwa inakufikia hapa hivi, ina depend na place tutakuwa imeenda. So hapa hivi ni kama kitu 750 acres of land. On the other side we have a area where they are doing the irrigation scheme for rice plantation. And on this side now we have Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria, you'll be able to see the fishermen now approaching those wind-sailing canoes with their white clothes. They are now using the sea breeze for sailing back, and in the morning they'll use the land breeze for sailing into the sea. Normally wanatokanga kitu kama saa 11 asubuhi wakienda huko ndani ku hunt for fish. If you are keen enough, you'll see some black floating objects in the water. Those are the fish cages, a new fish technique that we use for rearing fish. Some green plantation that maybe you'll see in the waters doesn't have the water hyacinth. But actually inakuanga shida sana. You'll find in some moment the whole lake surface will be covered with that plantation. So there will be no any business going in the lake. No fishing, no transportation, no anything. So it's also have advantages. Kama hiyo water hyacinth imekujanga, at least there is controlled fishing. The fishes rejuvenate, they give birth because their ecosystem is not disturbed, iko contact. So wanazanga sana. Sasa kama hiyo water hyacinth imerudi, at least kuna samaki kwa lake. So even though ni mbaya on the other side, but it's so advantageous on the other side. Because there before, I don't know if it was the national government, yes, the fishing was being controlled. Like there were some moments when, there were some seasons when the lake was closed. The closing of the lake is that there will be no fishing in the lake. Normally inafanyika from April to August, mwezi wa 8. Hapo hivyo It's being closed during that season because during that season we normally have a lot of rain. Kama mvua imenyesha sana inasaidia samaki wanazaa sana. Ndio maana wana close that duration. So on the far east now utapata Nandi Hills. Huko utapata Kisumu town pia tu iko hapo hivyo chini. It gives you a view of Kisumu town na nini. But we are planning tunataka ikue juu kushinda hapa na Nandi Hills. Alafu pia from here you'll be able to have a sunset, shot ya sunset. Ikikuja jioni. Watu wanakujanga hapa kwa hizo shots za sunset nini. So it's really cool place. Another side tuko na Homa Bay, Odino Falls, huko hivyo hapa Nyakach. So it's really a cool place. So in case mko na event na nini, party, wedding shots, photo shoots, watu wanakujanga hapa hivi to have.
Now, small businesses, including food places run by local entrepreneurs, have moved away to the upper side of the beach, which has led to the improvement of the lake's biodiversity.
Sasa pia hapa hivi wetland pia kama samaki wanataka kuzaa, lazima warudi huko ndani ndio wazaizae, ndio warudi huko hivyo ndani kwa maji. Kwa huko kwa maji kuna waves mingi, ma predators ziko kama mbota inawakula.